Hey, Algebra 1 students, welcome to our Lesson 16 guide to help you through the lesson and the student task statements. So we started off Lesson 15 yesterday with learning about the idea that you could undo a function so that you could answer a different question. We did it by engaging with a cipher coding game where we placed letters of the alphabet that made a word or a phrase, and we moved those by a particular number, forward or backward, and then rewrote the letter. So today we're going to do this a slightly different way. So let's go to our warm-up. So the warm-up is called Shopping for Cookbooks. Okay? So the idea about this, here are the teaching notes on it. So in this particular instance, you've spent time writing equations in two variables and multiple variables to represent relationships. You've rearranged equations. We did that back in Unit 2. Okay? So you are going to do the same thing here, only we are going to use this idea of equations and writing equations to write inverses of equations, okay, and learn what those are. So here we have a situation where we are buying cookbooks at different online stores. So I'm going to invite you to pause this video for a couple of minutes, and I'd like you to engage in question 1 by writing equations that model each one of these 4 stores, and then I'd like you to do the same thing using n for the number of books. Okay? So, please give this a try, and we'll pause for a moment. Okay, so let's move on to our next activity, 16.2. And I also want to let you know that if you pay attention to the teaching notes, okay, after each activity, they tell you what the answers are. So you get a chance to check your work, okay? So now we're moving on to the second activity, from Celsius to Fahrenheit. So here is a situation that a lot of us have had to deal with. There is a formula to convert from Fahrenheit to Celsius. So if you know the Celsius temperature, you can find the same temperature in degrees Fahrenheit by using this formula. So what they're inviting you to do is they're giving you some inputs and some outputs for this function, and they're inviting you to either simplify in the case of the inputs or isolate C in the case of where they give you Fahrenheit. Okay? So I'm going to pause the video again and give you an opportunity to work through these problems. Okay? All they're asking you to do is to rearrange these equations so that you're solving for so that you isolate C instead of F. See, here you've isolated F. What they're asking you to do is to isolate C. Okay? Okay, guys. So we are about ready at this point to walk through our last activity of this lesson. Okay? So what you've been asked to do is you've been asked to write equations, and then you were given an opportunity to use inputs and outputs to solve equations for a particular value. Now you're being asked to rearrange these formulas so that you're solving for the other variable. Okay? And this is an info gap, and ordinarily we have cards for the info gap activities. Well, we don't have the cards this time. Okay? So what I'm inviting you to do is I am inviting you to here is the problem card, there's the data card, here's the actual problem card. Okay? And here is, okay, so here's problem card 1, and here's problem card 2. Okay? So go ahead, take a look at these, okay, and try to answer them. Here are the two equations. This is one. See how they isolated N? In this one, they isolated P. Okay? So one of these is the inverse of the other. Okay? So go ahead and try to answer these questions. Okay? And then always read the teaching notes, and that's usually very helpful to you. Okay? So the 16.4, this is an optional activity. So you do not have to do it. But if you choose to do it, it may be helpful for you. Okay? The whole idea is to give you another opportunity to rearrange an equation to find the inverse. Okay? So just like up here, where in this equation, you're solving for N. You have N all by itself. And P is part of the formula. Here, you have P all by itself, and N is part of the formula. That's the whole idea behind an inverse. I hope you guys found this video helpful in going through your student task statements. Please give your cool down and practice problems a try. Alrighty? Thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll see you in the next video.